Ah, there you are. Thank you so much for joining part 2 of the Cassia Leotard. I'm so excited to bring this tutorial to you. Last week I shared part 1, which shared how to cut out sequin material and the tools that I use to cut the sequin material out. So I hope you've already dived into that one. If not, the link is below in the descriptions if you want to check out part 1 first, just so that you're across the tutorial and you're starting from part 1, and this is part 2, and when part 3 arrives I will link that below as well. But make sure that you're subscribing so that you never miss out every time I post a new tutorial, because there's a lot more coming and I really want you to succeed and I don't want you to miss out. So with this beautiful, amazing leotard, the Cassia Leotard is my favorite. I love it because it's got coverage in all the right spots, but it also allows for plenty of skin grip on the pole. And with saying that, in the pattern on the website, if you get the little mini tutorial or if you get the leotard wardrobe vault, you will see that there is 2 bottoms and 1 front. Oh no, 2 fronts and 2 bottoms. So literally it's 2 leotards for the price of 1. And you can make it as many times as you like in any kind of stretch fabric that you like. So go for gold. I really look forward to seeing what you create. Make sure that you tag me everywhere. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, you know, all the usual haunts that we like to hang out in. So yeah, I'm excited to share this part. So this part is an extension of part 1, and we're going to go into all of the details. In this video, you're going to do darts, and you're going to sew seams, and you're going to put fold over elastic on. You're going to even make a ruched bum. So this is really exciting, and I'm amped. Can you tell that I'm amped to share this with you? So please watch the video first, get an idea of what to expect so that there's no sneaky surprises lurking around the corner. And then once you've kind of digested all of that, make sure that you've gone to the website to sign up for the mini course or for the leotard wardrobe vault. The difference between the two is the mini course is all the videos for 3 months, and you get access to the 2 beautiful patterns, which is lifetime. Okay, those patterns belong to you. You can use them and make as many leotards as you like. You get also a directions manual that has step-by-step along the way. And then the leotard wardrobe vault is the place to be if you want more leotards and more leotard patterns dropping in. That is lifetime access, and all the videos to all the other leotards are in the vault. And so go for gold. So the link is below. And I look forward to helping you on your sewing journey. But please enjoy making the Cassia. The Cassia is the most popular one that I get requested all the time, and I'm sharing it with you here today. So enjoy, and please like, subscribe, or even share this with somebody you know who likes to make their own polewear or swimwear, and they're looking for a little bit of inspiration. Send this video to them so that they're like inspired to keep on creating, because that's what we're here to do, is create. Have a beautiful day, happy sewing and happy dancing. Yay! So by now you would have cut out your main fabric and your lining, and I've cut out the bottoms. Here is the butterfly pattern, and we are going to get started on putting all of these beauties together. So I'm just going to put the sparkly fabric to the side and work on the lining right now. So we're going to work on the lining part, start off with. So first of all, I'm going to pin my darts. This is what gives shape around the busts and really cinches in around the side boob area as well. So placing the right sides of the fabric, we're just going to pin the dart seams. And I usually use about 2 to 3 pins here just to make sure that the edges line up with each other. So I've pinned one side and then moving on to the other dart, placing the right sides together, lining up the edges and the edge point and using pins to secure that in place. There we are. So both of those darts are done. I will end up doing a straight stitch on those darts, leaving 1/4 inch seam. And then I'm moving on to the bottom here. So this has some ruching. You don't have to put ruching in this if you don't want to. I just like the effect that it gives, and it kind of just gives a really beautiful shape to the bottom. So I'm just lining it up on my board here. And I've got a line going down the center of the pattern. So you can see here all the way up and into that point. So that line matches this line, okay? And all the other boxes match up. And then we're going to grab our elastic. So it's a 6mm elastic, stretchy woven elastic, and I place that behind my pattern and lining it up in a nice straight way. So lining the end of that with that point and then just securing that with a pin, just so it doesn't move and we don't lose our center line, because the center line on ruching is so important. But if you make a few mistakes along the way, this is entirely normal when you're learning something new, okay? So I really want you to just embrace any failures that might come up along the way. So now I'm using the pins and I'm popping the pin through the fabric and then behind the elastic. And I'm going to do this all the way down to the edge, just keeping the pants and the elastic lined up. As you can see, I'm redoing it because I lost my center line. There it is, making sure that that center line is in the middle and the pin goes behind the elastic. So through the material, behind the elastic, through the material. The pin doesn't go through the elastic at all. It just goes behind the elastic. And then I am going to secure that again with another pin. Again, I'm going through the material, behind the elastic, through the material. And I'll say it again, the pin does not go through the elastic, only through the material, just to kind of encase it, okay? And then just snipping that off right there. Different scissors, so these scissors I use for elastic. And then I'm going to place this. As you can see, my pins are now behind the elastic. So you can see the way the pins are, that's keeping it in the center. This one is not through the elastics, it's behind it. So now placing the right sides together, we're going to use a few pins to pin all of this in place. So making sure that the edges of the crutch are nice and flush against each other. You don't want anything overlapping. And just popping a few pins in. I usually put 2 on either side. I will sew where the pins are, but I'm not going to sew where the elastic is. Okay, so it's really important that you leave a little hole where the elastic is. So sew, and leave a hole right here. Okay, there we are. So straight stitch, and then we're going to do a straight stitch here for the darts, right here, leaving 1/4 inch seam allowance. The seam allowance is included in the pattern, and sew along here as well. Ta-da! All right, so moving on to the beautiful sparkly fabric now. So this is the main fabric. So pretty, this rose gold. Okay, so I've got the wrong side of the fabric facing up because we put the right sides of the fabric together on the dart, just like what we did on our lining. I'm going to use some pins to secure that. Now, pinning sequin fabric is just a little bit more of a process. It feels different. The pins feel different. What's really important is to just really line up the edges of the fabric so you don't get overlaps or overhangs, because this fabric can be really slippery to work with. So really kind of making this really important to line everything up, okay? So then flipping it over, I'm using the right sides together and lining up the crutch. So putting the bottom and top of the bodice. Crutches are together. Now we're going to sew all the way along here. Not going to leave a hole or anything. As you can see, I'm starting in the middle here and pinning all the way across. And I will be straight stitching as well. You can use a straight and a zigzag stitch and an overlocker. I do tend to use an overlocker stitch sometimes on my sequin fabric because I think that it offers a little bit more security. And then we're going to sew our darts, leaving a 1/4 inch seam. Remember, the seams are included in the pattern as well. There we are. So we're going to do that now. So you do yours and I'll do mine, and then we will meet up. There we are. All done. So trim off any little excess little tails, and then we will work together on bringing this baby back to life. So I found a little tail and just give it a little trim. I think it's really important to trim these tails off because we don't want to see them through the fabric. And then there's that straight stitch that I did. I used a straight stitch that is an elastic straight stitch. So the stitches are a lot closer together than a normal straight stitch. And then I'm getting my lining, so everything's been done exactly the same on my lining. As you can see, there's my straight stitch. I tapered it into the corner, and on the other side of the dart as well, trim off any loose ends along the way. And there's my crutch. I'll take those pins out, and you can probably see the little hole that I left there. There it is. There's a little hole that the elastic will come through when we're doing our scrunch bum. Okay, so we want to place the wrong sides together. Okay, so placing the wrong sides together, we want to line up all of our seams first. So the crutch seam gets lined up and the dart seam gets lined up, and then we pin. So I always start with a crutch seam and I fold the material back on each of the lining and the main fabric so that I keep a nice flush area, lining up those seams beautifully. Making sure that elastic is not in the way. You kind of want to keep the elastic nice and straight. You don't want it all bubbling up because it will change the shape of the actual pattern. So just make sure you work your elastic to go through the hole, because that will just give it a little bit more structure. So once you line everything up, take your time here, don't rush it. I am going to speed up this pinning process because I do pin a few times in one area to make sure that it's flush, like I am doing here, making sure that that whole corner bit, that little V, is lined up, because that's so important to have that V lined up. And that's also your center line of the back, so you really want the fabric lined up beautifully. As you can see, I've sped this up a little bit so that, you know, you're not just watching me pin, but you get an idea that I'm pinning really specific spots: the crotch seam, the V, the seam on the dart, the points, the little keyhole. So I'm just really working through really important places that need to be lined up specifically to make sure that the center line is in alignment with the center line of your body. Okay, lots of pinning. All right, and then once we've pinned everything into place, you are then going to sew a zigzag stitch, sewing it all together. Okay, all the way around, zigzag stitch I have on 3 length and 3 width. So the width is 3, the length is 3. It's a zigzag stitch, and I follow the whole leotard all the way around. And that's that. So we've done that, we're moving along, and this is what it looks like. I may have done a little bit of trimming of any excess lining that may have just stretched, but otherwise everything's in alignment. If the seams are all matching up and the center seam of the V is lining up, the center seam of the keyhole is lining up, then we are in a really great position to move on to the next step. If it's not, you will have to unpick everything and redo. All right. Oh my God, we're moving on to the fold over elastic now. Oh my God. And look, there's the little hole there, so that's still there. I haven't sewn it. I love this leotard so much. I'm so glad you're making this for yourself. Okay, so now we're moving on to the fold over elastic. This is a 12mm fold over elastic, and I have specifically dyed this to match the color of the crystals and also the leotard itself. So the fold over elastic, it's a wonderful thing to use for pole wear. Every elastic is going to be different, so I feel that you're going to have to do a practice run on the material. So first of all, I am going to do the fold over elastic on the V and the keyhole, the sides of the chest, and then the sides of the body. So here I'm just lining up my fold over elastic with the bottom area where the deep V is, just trimming off any loose tails that may have popped up along the way. Okay, so getting the fold over elastic, I'm placing the wrong sides together and leaving a tail of maybe 2 inches. And I'm going to do a zigzag stitch, and I am going to pull gently, not too firmly, just very gently on this elastic while I sew. You're probably thinking, how did you do that? The notes for the fold over elastic is in the bonus area, and I have detailed the elastic for you to watch and practice. So that's how we got to this point here. So go and have a look at those videos in the bonus area and then come back and follow through. Okay, so the fold over elastic is on, and now we are going to encase this beautiful sequin fabric inside the fold over elastic. I'm folding that over, of course, and that's why it's called fold over elastic. So the fold over elastic comes over, and you will sew your zigzag stitch on top of this. No need to pull the elastic, just sew it and it will look like this. Pretty, huh? Oh my god, it's so pretty. I love that. Perfect. I'm really happy with that. And that's what it looks like on the other side. So pretty. All right, so now we're going to move on to the other end, which is the keyhole. I always secure both ends first, and I feel that that is just a really nice way to really enforce the center line of your fabric and the center line of your pattern, and it just gets pulled beautifully. So I've done my keyhole exactly the same way that I did the V, and then I'm going to move on to the side breast area. I'm going to put the fold over elastic there, and I encase the little tails that we've left. So this will also be in the bonus area, but I put the fold over elastic behind the little 2-inch tail, and I will do it according. Oh, look, there's another little tail. Got him. So going back to the fold over elastic, place the tail. You want to encase the tail as well. So do exactly the same thing as though the tail is part of the fabric. And as you can see, there is the tail. It's all enclosed. Oh, soon will be enclosed. But as you can see, there's a little bit of like ruching in the fabric. That's okay. That's just from the elastic being pulled slightly. And then you're going to sew across here. And that's what it looks like. Ta-da! and that tail will come in handy when we put our sliders there. Oh, so pretty. And we're going to do the other side of the side breast area. And then we will work our way through the length of the bodice, which is the home stretch, okay, before we move on to straps. So again, you're just going to do exactly the same process that you did on the V and the keyhole, but this is just on the length of the body. And you've still got that 2-inch little tail here. Those tails are going to be where your sliders go to secure your straps. Okay, so we're just moving through here really beautifully. And then moving on to the other side. And as you can see, there's been a change of length in the side body because we have put the elastic. It's good to check this. I'm happy with that because there's still more to stretch. So now it's all done. The fold over elastic is on the V, the keyhole, and the side breast areas and the length of the body. And now we are moving on to our little rings. And we've got different sizes for different areas, but that's in the directions manual as well. And up here around the keyhole, I use a 15mm ring. And I will secure those 2 little tails on this 15mm ring, and I will secure those tails by doing 2 straight stitches on each side. And then I will put the rings on. These ones here are 12mm, and that's around the side boob area. And securing that with a bulldog clip, and I also secure those rings with 2 straight stitches, and then here on the edge of the bottom I will be doing either a 12 or a 10 millimeter ring, depending on the width of the strap. So if I'm using 12 millimeter straps, I'll use 12 millimeter rings, 10 millimeter straps for 10 millimeter rings. So that's all secure. Got one more to do, there it is. And then I will secure them all with 2 straight stitches.